But there's no chopping in judo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no striking in judo.
No,
That's
there's
what's
judo
weird
chop.
about that.
Yeah.
Judo chop.
Yeah,
Do you
well,
know?
there's no creatine
fun
in
fact.
Musashi either.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Austin Powers. That the guy that throws the shoe.
Yes.
Joe's son.
Who's he?
He actually competed in the UFC.
Oh, really?
And now he's in jail for murder.
Murder by a shoe?
Yeah, the guy that who throws a shoe.
Yeah,
honestly.
Did he murder by shoe?
Yeah, he threw a shoe
Honestly.
at a guy.
Wait, you
throws
say
a
Joe's
shoe.
son? That's not the guy in physical.
Joe's son.
100.
Do you remember Chemo from like the first? He fought Hoist Gracie. Came in with a giant cross on his back. Have you ever seen that
Oh,
guy?
yeah.
Joe's son was in his corner.
Oh, shit.
That's funny.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
All right, today's episode
I'm not finished talking about Austin Powers yet.
Oh, we can keep talking about Austin Powers,
I'm
but
kidding.
today's episode is all things creatine.
Mm-hmm.
It's come back. Not that it ever really went away, creatine, but it is come back as a hot.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
Yeah, I'd say it's more just like the community becoming more informed, and creatine is one of those top tier supplements that people are gravitating to more than anything else.
Yeah, 100%. The next generation's coming in, getting
Yep.
into training. They're just discovering creatine, and the TikTok world's on fire, and that's where it's blown up again. I think.
Yeah. And if you talk about, gold standard, elite level supplements that have,
This is Musashi when I talk about gold standard, man.
I mean, not gold standard, but stuff that's scientifically proven. Creatine, protein, caffeine, beta-alanine. Those are like top tier,
four.
you know?
Yeah.
Even beta-alanine though.
Well,
yeah.
That's still
beta-alanine is almost that second tier in terms of.
It is, but
People just don't know.
I mean,
about
maybe
it.
maybe the breadth of research on beta-alanine
Yeah.
isn't as
no, it's
as-
definitely
as wide as
there.
creatine.
I think
Yeah.
it's just a little bit of a scary supplement since it has such a physiological effect on yourself.
BioLane agrees with you in terms of the top three: caffeine, creatine, protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So podcast over.
So, creatine, what
Alright,
is
see you
it?
next week.
What is it? What does it do? When do we use it? How much do we use? And who should use it? We'll cover all those things today.
We shall.
Yeah.
But,
well, my favorite white powder in the world, creatine.
Oh, come on,
let's,
mate.
What's your favorite white powder?
No, fuck
boys?
off. I was trying so hard not to tell that joke.
Let's
He set you up.
so everybody here uses creatine. How do you guys
Yes.
use it?
Well, let's what is it first?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what is it, so
micronized-
people understand.
Well, creatine monohydrate.
Oh, tell us exactly what it is, Hal.
Yeah,
Yes.
tell us.
No, I'm
No,
asking
go.
him.
No, you tell me.
So creatine is.
No, don't. Save yourself.
Yeah, I will.
Well, basically, creatine is something your body actually produces, right? And it makes it from amino acids within your body.
That makes it an essential amino acid.
No.
No.
Is it essential?
If your body produces something, it's therefore not
non-essential.
So it's
essential.
non-essential. Okay.
But it's not an amino
not
acid.
classed
It's
as that.
produced from amino acids. But
It's not one of the 9 or 11 on its own.
No.
Okay.
There's 20 amino acids. And
That's what I
it's
mean.
none of them.
There's nine essential, 11
Yeah,
non-essential, correct?
It's not an amino
but
acid.
it's none of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop talking.
So basically, you have energy systems in your body, right? Everybody knows about the energy systems. Your aerobic system, when you're doing something light intensity, breathing, and you're producing energy from the carbs and fat and stuff in your body. Then you have your anaerobic system, which is from your for some activity less than 3 minutes. That uses
What was that?
glycogen.
What activity is that?
That's-
Robot dance.
That's how you dancing, jogging.
Yeah.
Give an example.
Sprinting.
So
Basketball.
Aerobic is running. Anaerobic would be sprinting.
Basketball? No, not sprinting.
Lifting.
Most sports are anaerobic,
Okay.
right? And yeah, some lifting activities are anaerobic too. And then-
Anaerobic, medium jog, right?
Medium.
Where you're not gasping for air, but you're able to maintain a.
Think about any movement that is between like 10 seconds and 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then your final energy system, the final boss, is your most powerful but has the least capacity, is your creatine phosphagen energy system.
That's sprinting.
That's the
That's
system
sprinting.
you use when you have relations with females.
Yeah, 10 seconds,
Ah!
done.
10 seconds. Done.
I only need 5.
So basically, what creatine is creatine phosphate in your body. It uses phosphate ion to add to ADP, right? And ADP becomes ATP. Everybody knows what ATP is, right?
That's the energy system, isn't it?
Adenosine triphosphate.
Exactly.
Oh, smart guy.
Yeah. It's basically your money's currency of energy within your body. So without creatine, you don't have this big store of ATP, so you can't do these explosive things.
So can we get creatine naturally from any food source?
Yes, you can.
And how much can we get from?
Leading the witness, Your Honour.
Yeah.
So what food sources can give us creatine? Naturally.
It's found in meats,
Yep.
like beef, for example.
Let's to put you on the spot a bit. Let's say you had a 300-gram steak. How much creatine could you possibly get from that 300-gram steak?
Not enough.
Not enough.
That's the answer.
So what's the solution?
Well,
So
Supplement with it.
hell knows. Yeah, so basically, creatine is one of those things where you're typically not going to get enough in your diet to give you this, physiological boost that we're all after. So that's why everybody supplements with it, and that's why it's probably top 3 most popular supplements in the world.
Nice.
So it's helping to create ATP.
Yep.
And ATP is used for that.
Short bursts of energy. Sprinting, jumping, explosive stuff.
But creatine has benefits other than energy, does it not?
Definitely.
Okay.
But that's basically its main function within your body.
There's studies out now, and I know hospitals are using it with pregnant women with underdeveloped babies. It's meant to have improve in brain.
yeah, sleep
cognition.
benefits too.
Yes.
Due to increased blood flow, you get a better restful sleep.
Cell hydration.
They're researching creatine for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's.
I heard about that recently as well.
Yeah.
But not just that. Even in the sports world, if you're ingesting creatine while you're lifting weights, it's meant to help with size and strength gains.
But so it's predominantly been used in the bodybuilding arena for size and strength, although which is tied to ATP, you're using sort of that explosive energy system. But more and more sports people are starting to use it.
That's what I use it
Because
mostly for.
basketball. In basketball,
Perfect sport
you're
for it.
you are still engaging in sprints.
That's what
You
it
would
is.
use
short
all-
sprints.
Well,
Yeah.
and jumping, right?
Yeah.
Not that you need to jump very high because you're 6'8".
Okay, 8 ball.
I talk to endurance athletes all the time and tell them how much they should be using creatine. It's like, I'm an endurance athlete, and I'm like, so you never will run up a steep hill during that? Like, you're not just constantly at this same level of.
So are you saying would you say there's no benefits for an endurance athlete?
I would say there's lots.
But that's not doing anything explosive. Let's say a 20K marathon.
But in a
all slow.
20K marathon, you're going to have hills.
You're going to have explosive
You're going to
bursts.
use all 3 energy systems in a even if you're a long distance runner.
If
You're
you're-
not just going to stick at this.
There's
What if there's
you're
a sprint to the finish line?
Yeah,
But-
that's
Yeah.
true.
What if there's a sprint off the start line?
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of different,
Yeah.
If you're maybe sitting
and
on
even
it-
from a hydration perspective as well.
True.
Cell
That's true.
hydration.
different.
Yeah. So-
Well, that's what I was about to ask. If you're sitting on a treadmill and you're doing 6 to 8 k's an hour, whatever it is, for an hour or two, maybe at that point creatine doesn't have that effect on your system. But to your point, water retention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It might not-
anti-fatigue in that case. Yeah.
Yeah, it might not necessarily improve your performance that much, if you're doing these lower intensity activities, but it's going to have this myriad of benefits that we
But
just talked
very,
about.
very rarely will you be doing any sort of exercise that is so narrowly focused that creatine will not have some sort of benefit.
Pretty much. And when you talk about sports, sports are not just one-dimensional movements. They involve all kinds of things, no matter what sport. So creatine can benefit pretty much any sport.
Agreed. Cool. What was your first question? How do we all consume creatine?
Yeah.
Well, when do we use it? When should we be using it?
The best time is in and around exercise, so straight after or straight before, depending.
During?
Yeah, you can have it during. So
You don't like
The
during.
correct
do you?
answer is it doesn't really matter.
yeah. No, it does.
Does it, but as long as you're having it.
I'm pretty sure timing doesn't matter because it's kind of like a vitamin.
Well,
You're
there's-
replenishing your creatine stores.
No, but they have
Darren's,
studied.
yeah, Darren's got on it.
They-
It's the two, isn't it? There's one which is it has it has the effect in your body. It takes like 2 weeks for your body to actually start creating your own,
Yeah.
and then it's like that prolonged continued effect. But also,
No,
if you have it at a certain point in time, it can have like that energy effect at that time.
Yeah,
correct?
so your absorption in and around exercise into your muscle is going to be enhanced. That's why they suggest to take it.
Right.
Near
So the
your workout.
uptake
The
is better
uptake is
around
better.
training
Okay.
time.
But yeah, like you mentioned, right, it doesn't matter too
What-
much because it's
What
all-
about first thing in the morning when you wake and you're fasted? That's when I use it. I don't use it around training time. I have it first thing in the morning after I've slept
But
for 8 hours and haven't had a meal in 10. I'd say my uptake's equally as good.
But doesn't it draw all the water in your body into your stomach? And typically when you wake up, you're dehydrated.
And you shit your pants? Is that where you're heading?
No.
with this, or-
I'm saying like if you're already thirsty in the morning, like absorbing creatine, especially all in one go.
Well, plenty of people have the old, creatine orange juice for breakfast, but
Yeah. Look, it's traditionally used around training time, and that's when you think of using supplements. So that's when you'd recommend using it.
That's when I have all of mine.
And absorption is another relatively important thing with creatine. That's why a lot of people recommend having it, with carbohydrates or on exercise, just to
Split it. Have half serve before training and half serve after.
Well, I've heard, and this is anecdotal, and I'm expecting someone to
Bro
challenge this.
Bro science alert.
Love bro science.
That if you have
Is that the bro science alarm?
Yeah.
God damn.
That should go off every time Hal speaks, I reckon.
Yeah, more or less. It's just random bullshit I've heard from the internet. Is if you have creatine immediately before exercise, it's better for energy production, but if you have it immediately after exercise, it's better for size and strength gain and recovery. Is that complete bullshit?
probably.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think
Sound the alarm.
I would say the only thing, if you have it before, you're probably not retaining as much creatine in your body because you're doing exercise, you're sweating, you're losing the creatine.
But that's your hypothesis.
It's my hypothesis based on some scientific research.
It speaks to common sense.
Yeah.
It's very logical, but there's not a lot of practical research that
but it makes
confirms that.
sense.
I got a question
does.
on creatine. Like we talk about it producing ATP, which is energy, right? How does it help with strength and size?
Well, what is strength? It's
Oh, shut up, my writer.
Here we go.
I mean-
This is deep.
I
yeah.
mean, not-
What is strength?
yeah, not philosophically, but strength is a contraction of your muscle, and contractions use ATP, right? That is that's the foundation of movement,
Right.
So, an intense contraction is, something that we've just talked about. Explosive. It's powerful, and anything that involves strength and power, creatine's going to have a benefit for.
How much creatine should we have daily?
Well, the recommendation. Okay, you go, Mark.
5 grams, that's it.
Yeah. Well, the recommendation is 0.3 grams per kilogram of body weight.
So what's that
Oh,
kind
that's too hard to figure out.
We'll do some quick
0.3
maths.
times.
Oh, I can know. That's
Get this out.
What is it? Quick, get your calculator.
I'm exactly 100 grams, so that should be easy for me.
Yeah,
So
exactly
an-
100
3
grams,
times 77.
Pretty much.
100 kilos.
Oh shit.
100, yeah,
Wait.
don't- shut up.
Yeah.
0.3.
Yeah.
Times.
So it should be about 2.5 for as a maintenance dose for 80 kilo.
Oh, is that right?
person. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not
But-
right. 0.3 grams per kilo.
Yeah, that's 3 grams per 100
That's
gram
maintenance,
max.
right?
Yeah,
you're
that's a
right,
maintenance
you're right,
dose.
sorry.
But typically we recommend 5 grams because a maintenance dose is going to take you too long to get to your optimal physiological level. That's why some people do a loading dose, which is a bit higher. So, it gets you to that.
Let's talk about
level a
that
bit
because
higher.
that was done in the past, right? A lot of people used to load up on creatine
We
for the
get-
first 2 to 4 weeks.
Loading and cycling are questions that we get a lot.
Yeah.
So,
I've never done it, but do you believe in it?
yeah, well, basically, if you think about it, like if you're slowly dosing creatine, you're slowly going to increase your level. And then once you plateau, you're going to be at that optimal physiological level. But loading just gets you there faster.
Does it, but?
It
Like,
does.
can your body only
It does get you-
convert so much creatine to ATP at any given time? Like, is there any wastage or like,
Well,
there's got to be a limit to this. Otherwise, you just take it 50 grams straight up front and get you there. Like there's got to be a safe way to load. And do you even really need to load?
Well, Darren's just going to spell out the same graph.
Yeah.
Fuck around and find out.
No, well, you don't really need to load, right? It'll just potentially get you there faster because, it's going to depend on how well you absorb it. And
So if you're loading, then you want to get there faster. What's a loading dose compared to a maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams
about 20 grams.
per day?
20
Yeah.
grams.
Fuck
For
that.
how
I would
long?
never recommend that.
But-
No, neither.
But
Wouldn't your body convert some of it to creatinine?
Yeah.
everybody's, kidneys
Different.
and things are different. But with the 20-gram dose of creatine, and why a lot of people recommend against it, is, you're going to get some rumbling of the jungle. A lot of people can't stomach 20 grams of creatine.
I don't think I could do that now. and
So
I'm
it
used to every day.
drags water into the bowel, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, have a coffee and creatine pre-workout and see what happens.
Yeah,
So it might get you there faster, but at what cost?
Even at any point of time, during the day, if I ever have creatine all in one go, my full 5 grams, I feel like dehydrated. I don't enjoy it. Like I always have it with my electrolytes in a big fuck off 2 kilo to 2 liter.
It would actually
bottle.
help to hydrate you though.
Yeah. Well,
if you're consuming it with liquid, that's what it does. It's water retentive. So if you're drinking the liquid, then yes. But if you don't have that liquid already in your body, then I don't think it does.
Well,
Because it's to your point, it's dragging the liquid from your muscles and whatnot into your bowel.
that's why one of the requirements of
it's
creatine
dragging
is
it into
you
the
need to
muscle
drink
cell.
more water. Once you start using
Yeah.
creatine, you need to drink more water.
And what about the cycling of it? How we get this question heaps on socials. Do you need to go off it, and for how long? And
Is it a bullshit
Yeah.
sound too, or is it just...
It's pretty bullshit. Like
how long have you been using creatine for every day?
I've been using creatine pretty much nonstop for a few years.
You know how I can tell? Your size of your head. Not the size, sorry.
Well, I
The lack
got
of
a
hair.
cycling based.
That is bullshit too. That's another.
yeah,
Bro,
it's been debunked.
I have so many mates who don't take creatine because they're worried. They've got the Widow's Peaks already, and they're worried about going
That
bald.
is. Oh my
I've told them it's
God.
bullshit.
Well,
I've got a bit of a- I've got a
Ross
bit
has
of-
a full head of hair, and he's been using.
I've
it
been
for a long
using.
time.
I'm not kidding. 20 years straight, 5 grams a day, and I've had
Alright.
creatinine levels checked. Never, but I've never overdosed on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
I'll
about
sh-
5 grams.
Always about 5 grams.
I'll share an image of what your hair looked like before the last weekend. Because he does have a full head of hair.
What about if let's say you want to have maximum performance, but you need to cut weight for a sport? Are you going to lose performance if you're going to stop taking creatine to reduce those water stores in your muscles?
Well, again, it's just we
To
come
say
back to the graph,
reduce
right?
your weight?
If you've been taking creatine for some time, it's going to take some time again for that to drop down
So
to.
you can kind of just coast off however much you've been consuming until that point.
If you are struggling to make a weight and it's going to be a tough cut, then yes, dropping creatine out will help that cut.
Because I know
Definitely.
you hold about 2% of your body weight in water if you're consuming creatine, so you would just generally be walking around a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
Tell me about creatinine.
Creatinine is a metabolite of creatine. So, if you have kidney insufficiency, you might not be processing creatine correctly, so it might shoot your creatinine levels up. If you go to a doctor, they might think you have something wrong with your kidneys.
Well, creatinine is also the result of if you leave creatine, and correct me if I'm wrong, in liquid, specifically water, for too long a period of time, which is a big reason why it's very difficult to find creatine in a premixed drink, like a Gatorade style product or a premixed protein drink. It's because the creatine will just become
It's not
useless.
stable.
Yeah.
in water.
Yeah,
So-
not necessarily creatinine, but it degrades into all these other things. So,
how long can you hold it in water, just like say a drink bottle, before you have to actually have it fully consumed?
they say no longer than 12 hours, but it depends. If you're chilling it, maybe it can last a little bit longer.
So to all those people who are always asking why we don't put creatine in our drinks, that's why.
Yeah.
And who should use it?
Anybody and everybody, right? Like we talked about, it can have a benefit to almost any sport.
So whether you exercise or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
Like tradies and stuff would benefit from it.
It has
Bricklayers and concreters. I'm not even kidding. Like
No, you're
that
serious.
is hard
I'm
physical
not,
labor.
I'm not making that joke.
Yeah.
bricklayers.
What?
Wait, what?
No,
That wasn't-
No, that's a joke. They're all in the bags.
Oh, well, I was.
Yeah. Who should use it? Sports people, trade people, drug dealers use it.
They do. 100%.
Or it gets used
Yes.
in that way, but
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
what the podcast is
No,
about.
I don't want to. We don't need to go into that, do we?
What was I going to say? I was going to
It's
say.
been thrown. Who should use it? Yes.
Yeah. If you're,
If you do any
under
exercise.
16, maybe, maybe check with a healthcare professional first.
Nice disclaimer.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get in trouble with our regulatory department, and I understand.
Yep. All right. What's the best type of creatine? There's a lot of types out there.
I like the type with the most scientific evidence and research done on it.
What type's that? How?
It's monohydrate. But what are the other types?
Well, there's many other types. Back in the day, the theory was creatine gets absorbed very poorly. So, how can we get this creatine absorbed much better into your body? So, a few brands came out with like creatine ethyl ester. I used to use it for a little while. A product called Salmas.
Creatine HCl.
Yeah, creatine hydrochloride. So the idea was, this dissolves much better in your stomach acid. Then there's crealkaline, which is a non-acidic creatine that's meant to be digested a lot better. But, basically, they're all just less efficient ways of getting creatine into your
So
body.
we don't need to worry about anything except monohydrate.
Yeah.
Which
Pharmaceutical grade creatine monohydrate, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. And if you've heard the term micronized before, basically that just means the particles are really, really small, which is something called 200 mesh.
I got a funny story on that. When I was first getting into training back in the day, there was a brand that was doing a nano creatine.
Yeah.
I don't know, you'd probably remember the brand. I won't mention it here, but the guy that was working in the supplement store when I was buying it, I was probably 17 or something. I knew nothing about sports supplements. He tried to sell me this nano creatine in a way that I didn't even have to ingest it. And he goes, look, I've got a tub out the back, I'll show you. And he got it, he got some of the creatine out and he rubbed it on his bicep. He goes, look, it just disappears. He goes, so whatever, if it's arm day, I just rub it into my arms. If it's chest day, I rub it into my chest. That's the way he was trying to sell it to me. At 17 years old, I knew he was full of shit straight away.
That's crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes, normal creatine, monohydrate, micronized.
Where did they sell that?
Yeah, Darren wants to use it.
most credible brands only sell monohydrate.
Yeah,
Most.
And micronized, small particle size, digests easier, dissolves easier.
Nice.
Yeah, look, it's a product that over the years has become more and more popular. There is still some myths floating around about it. There's still hesitancy amongst sports people, which I don't think there should be.
Yeah.
I reckon everyone should give it a go and see the differences that it makes, because it is a product that you do have noticeable differences with. It's not like a caffeine style product where you're going to get this instant sort of energy burst.
No, you're right. But when you're used to it and you don't take it for a while, you notice a difference.
Yeah.
That's when you notice it, when you stop taking it for a little bit and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You do notice the difference in the mirror as well, right? You look a bit more.
Why'd you flex when you did that?
Every time I say
Come on,
mirror,
man.
I flex. But yeah, you do look a little bit more, slightly more jacked
Yeah.
When you stop taking it.
when you're on it.
When
Yeah.
you're on it, yeah.
Yeah, it's that extra intracellular water.
Yeah.
And I remember, because that was one of the first times I kind of stopped taking creatine for a little while. The great creatine drought of 2021. Basically, during COVID, supply chains were messed up. And,
Yeah, a lot of people want to know about this.
Yeah, it was really, really hard for everybody to get creatine, because basically there's only a couple places in the world that make it, and also part of that is they do create some emissions and things. So with all these new emissions targets coming in, and ships not shipping stuff everywhere, basically most of the world ran out of creatine. It was pretty crazy. We were even out of stock for quite a while, and we buy literally tons of creatine, right? So thanks to our beautiful procurement team, we're back in stock now. But
So if anyone sees any
We're actually
white
stock.
balloons floating over America anywhere, that's our creatine supply coming. So yeah, please do not shoot those down.
yeah, and the price got jacked up for us. It was almost cheaper to put cocaine in our creatine tubs, but lucky we did.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Almost. But yes, highly researched, highly tested, highly recommended,
Highly effective.
highly effective.
there
Nice.
you go.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on creatine?
Does
well,
Miyamoto Musashi have any final thoughts on creatine?
We didn't answer the first question. How do you take your creatine, right?
2 liter jug with electrolytes, intra workout, and beta alanine.
How do you take your creatine?
What about you, Ross?
I like to top shelf mine, but no. I just have it in with an amino and electrolyte blend or whatever.
I mix it in with my morning granola, bit of yogurt, oats, get the creatine in
Yeah,
there.
doesn't matter how you get it, I guess.
With the granola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unique, but I suppose you wouldn't even notice it.
Well, I put it in with my beta alanine and other substances.
Do you use beta alanine outside training times?
Yeah.
And do you get the tingles from it?
That's why I have it with food, so I get just a lowered amount of tingles, because I'm using the therapeutic dose, 5 grams as well, just about. So if you have that fasted or just with water, you get nausea.
Yeah.
It feels like bugs crawling over your skin. It's pretty intense for 5 grams.
Beta alanine, because you don't notice those tingles as much when you use it before training, and then you go and get straight into training. But when you use beta alanine and then don't train, you notice it a lot more. Like
It sits in your body.
Yeah, it's weird. What's
All right.
Miyamoto say
Miyamoto
about?
actually had a little bit
A quote
to say
about creatine.
About creatine, right?
Sure, mate.
He invented
So-
creatine. He ground up old leaves from Japanese forests.
Well, actually,
Oh,
no,
you
we
mean-
won't get into that. But your choice of weapons does not make much difference if you understand their nature. You must also understand the purpose of their existence as well.
I like that.
Once this is done, you will then be able to wield any weapon that you have trained with. And if you have trained with all your heart.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Cool.
That's a tough one.
Right. If you understand the nature of creatine,
Look at Hal's just like agreeing. Yeah,
No,
that
but
was nice. Let's get out of here.
He ended up with
Dunsky's
saying that
wrap
you
it up.
don't need to use it.
Yeah, well, if you understand the nature, your energy systems and how it's helping you in power, speed, all these kind of things, then you're going to know whether it's going to benefit you and how it's going to benefit you.
It is nice to believe in the supplements you take.
That's true.
Yeah, and helping your understanding helps you use them and ultimately be a better athlete.
Nice. Good way to close it out.
Signing
Until
off.
next time.
Creatine
Laters.
out.
Creatine out.